Hello again, I am Blunty. Now, Nintendo is expected to finally reveal the worst kept secret in gaming hardware, the Nintendo Switch 2, in just a couple of days. Apparently. Allegedly. Perhaps. Probably? I'm going to land on probably, actually. To quote a Eurogamer Blue Sky post I tripped over this morning, Nintendo is expected to finally unveil the Switch 2 this Thursday, the 16th of January, with a focus on the much-leaked console itself, rather than a deep dive into the software lineup. None of this is, of course, anywhere close to official. Nintendo are typically tight-lipped, even in the face of a flood of leaks and rumors and whatnot around the hardware recently, centered around CES in particular. And it does seem strange that Nintendo would spotlight only the hardware rather than, the literal only reason people buy Nintendo hardware, which would be the games. Because let's face it, Nintendo's hardware isn't the best hardware, is it? Some of the games are the best games, though. But it might just be that the friggin' tsunami of leaks and peaks of Switch 2 hardware-related stuff has actually just pushed Nintendo's hand on this earlier than they originally planned on. So, while nice, clean, polished gameplay and trailers and whatnot are probably still being worked on for what they probably planned for the announcement, perhaps they can no longer just stand by and let the rumor mill absolutely eat their lunch when it comes to information, momentum, marketing, and frankly, stomping out misinformation, speculation, and some of the dumbest takes I've seen recently from the usual types of click-thirsty wankers who would make up anything and everything just to grab some attention. And I suspect Nintendo would rather have some facts out there at this point rather than let that run wild any more than it has done already. Almost a year ago, Nintendo first officially acknowledged the existence of a Switch successor, as they called it at the time. Alongside that came more official talk about the next generation Nintendo hardware being revealed this financial year, which means, very specifically, before the end of March 2025, which is coming up fast, isn't it? At Gamescom 2023, before even this official confirmation, behind the scenes came news of Nintendo showing off developer presentations for the Switch 2 so they could get their games ready for it when it does eventually release, where partners were shown mainly tech demos, apparently demonstrating how well the system is designed to run and what bells and whistles developers can expect to employ and take advantage of when it comes to making their games for the thing. Talk is, one of the Switch 2 demos that was showing off was a cranked up version of Breath of the Wild, which seems silly really, because that game was originally designed to be a Wii U title before that system tanked so bad they had to infamously rush a port of it to the Switch for its release. But apparently this 2-generation-old game was being goosed again to show off the Switch 2's extra power. It was described as a demo, and as yet there's been no evidence at all this is ever intended to be anything but a demo, no kind of full release for Switch 2, or indeed some kind of remaster. Don't count on that. Although the game was spectacularly well received, so I wouldn't put it past Nintendo to do a remaster for the Switch 2. Why wouldn't you, really? Especially when you can use it to sell more copies of the sequel that came out as well. And when, by the final quarter of last year, we still hadn't heard anything new from it officially, it was clear Nintendo were going to stay tight-lipped about it for one last Christmas season of selling through as much original Switch hardware as they could get rid of as fast as they could, without stalling sales by letting people know how close the replacement was. A couple of weeks back, though, images of what was alleged to be, and certainly seemed to be legit, Switch 2 motherboards were published through Reddit, including close-ups of the new NVIDIA chipset driving the whole thing and what seemed to be the game card slot. Nerd sleuthing about what that reveal showed led to several interesting suggestions based on the hardware we could see on the board, like the NVIDIA chipset marking suggesting that it's fabricated by Samsung, meaning, in all likelihood, it is based on NVIDIA's 8nm Ampere architecture, which is what the GeForce RTX 3000 series GPUs were based on. And the application-specific IC, ASIC, for the game card being marked as a very close relative of the one on the original Switch, suggesting very strongly that game backwards compatibility, which is already confirmed, is there as expected, but not just on the eShop downloadable side, but actual cartridge compatibility too, perhaps. Then, last week out of CES, it all started with a French website going hands-on with a mock-up model of the Switch 2 that accessory maker Genki was showing off at their booth, which according to Genki representatives was based on access to an actual Switch 2. Someone at their booth also said that access to Switch 2 units, real ones, was available on the black market if you put up the money. Although Genki, perhaps under instructions from their lawyers, later insisted they haven't been hands-on with an actual Switch 2, only mock-ups. Nintendo lawyers. Just mock-ups. Wink. Wink. Which, all of that is why Genki was able to do what they did and show this stuff off. They obtained access to a final, or at least near final, Switch 2 or Switch 2 mock-up outside of Nintendo's control. So they had not signed any kind of non-disclosure agreement with Nintendo, so were under no legal obligation to keep the design quiet at all, which is why they were showing it off at their booth, and it got them a lot of press, so that worked out for them. Apparently Nintendo representatives were sent to Genki's CES stall, but couldn't really do much, because no NDA, and no proof that they did anything illegal, just grey. And when asked about all of that by a Japanese newspaper, all Nintendo officials would say was, these were not official. These mock-ups and video demos of the accessories seem to confirm several other rumours from the last month or so, including magnetically attachable controllers. And an additional button on the controllers, apparently labelled the C button, classic Nintendo, and a slight relocation of existing system buttons, but the overall layout and design remaining very similar to the Switch Joy-Cons, as you would expect. More details out of Genki include confirmation, apparently, of one of the new Joy-Cons having an optical sensor, like a mouse. Remember, went crazy in that one, going, oh, we're getting Mario Paint for Switch 2, because it has a mouse. I can think of some other things that might work with a mouse that Nintendo have previously done with a stylus. Still more third-party accessory makers have also started listing product images for their accessories. These ones listed on Amazon Japan, showing a case with a U-shaped kickstand. Hard to tell if the kickstand is built into the Switch or part of the accessory. I've heard people suggest that it's built into the Switch, which seems good. Nice, robust-looking kickstand. Still more leakers have claimed to have at least images of the dock, if not the dock itself, confirmed by but unpublished by certain game sites. These apparently are showing the classic Switch logo with a number 2 joining it beside it, seemingly confirming the Switch 2 naming convention as official branding. And certain Chinese accessory manufacturers are already taking bulk orders for things like screen protectors labeled as being designed for the Switch 2 specifically, and shown in images right next to ones for the original Switch, which demonstrates that the screen on the Switch 2 is significantly larger, as was previously reported in other rumors. And I myself can confirm I have been contacted by at least one accessory maker, well, one brand that covers several brands of accessories actually, about reviewing their upcoming Switch 2 products. And outside of all the hardware and accessory leaks, the game side has started to spring leaks too. A so-called reliable leaker has been suggesting that Microsoft will be a very big supporter of the console, bringing 2 major Xbox Series to Switch 2 within the launch year, one of which is Halo. The other, believe it or not, is Flight Simulator, which, good luck with that. The latest version of that is a trash fire on even powerful PCs, last I checked, and indeed abandoned it because it sucked so hard. We do know Microsoft is pushing for more and more multi-platform releases, and have been for a while now, even on their most aggressive rival, the PlayStation 5. So this aligns well with all that. Would hardly be surprised if they put their stuff on Switch 2 as well. It is suggested that other Microsoft multi-platform titles will join them. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Doom: The Dark Ages, The Outer Worlds 2. And I really do hope The Outer Worlds 2 is a better port than last time, because the original Outer Worlds port for the original Switch was a friggin' disaster of basically unplayable shit, which was annoying because that game is spectacularly fun. And all on top of that, an Xbox Developer Direct was just announced last week, taking place on the 23rd, with what Xbox say is a deep dive into a small selection of upcoming Xbox Game Studio titles. Could we see Switch 2 ports there? Is it a Switch 2 specific event? Or at least a tease? I have doubts, but the timing works. The same leaker, Nate the Hate by the way, no relation, also claims Square Enix is bringing Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth to the Switch 2. And of course, we have Pokemon Day coming up. That is on the 27th of February, the anniversary of Pokemon Red and Green's original Japanese debut. And traditionally, there is a Pokemon Presents livestream that happens on or around that day. And it's expected, or at least hoped, this year's event will reveal more details, maybe even gameplay, from the as yet very quiet after its initial teaser, Pokemon Legends ZA, or ZA, which I and many other people like me have been speculating has been so tightly silent so far because it's a Switch 2 exclusive game, maybe even a launch game, and they really can't show any gameplay until the Switch 2 is actually revealed, of course. So if we lean on that, that also strongly suggests that initial reveal is most likely this month ahead of that, to allow the news cycle to burn through all of this, Switch 2 reveal stuff before Pokemon pulls up and blows up the hype train all over again. And all that lining up perhaps in time for a March release of the Switch 2, as was the case for the original Nintendo Switch, which launched March 3rd, memory serves? I think it was 3rd. So, there you have it, wrapping up some of the more interesting leaks and likely rumors before potentially Nintendo officially reveal the Switch 2 in a couple of days, apparently, if the rumor is true. It's not outside of credulity for Nintendo to do this kind of just cold reveal of something with very little lead up or teasing, just going, hey, here it is. Speaking personally though, I'm putting this at about, what are we going to call it, 70% likelihood. We'll see. I wonder how well this video will hold up by the end of the week and how many of the rumors and leaks and whatnot we've been talking about actually are reflected in the final reveal of the hardware and things. Again, I guess we'll see in, a couple of days. Thanks for watching. I am Blunty. Catch you next time. Thank you as always to the patrons scrolling way up above there. And yeah, do let me know in the down below that you made it to the end of the video. But also, what would be a launch title that you'd be really excited about for the Switch 2? Pokemon for me, really. Or what if, and probably not, but what if Monster Hunter Wilds